name is Terry Arnold, and welcome to The Real You. I have a special guest, Craig Parry. Not only is he a special guest, he's also my assistant, and we have David Heavener Ministries. What we are here today, he is going to talk about his own personal life. I'm actually going to give him the floor, and we'll see what he has to say.
Okay.
Welcome, Craig.
Welcome, Terry. Thanks for having me on. There's so many things I could talk about, but what comes to mind is I was actually, before I had the radio program, Heart of the Father on KKVV 1060 AM.
Let me back up a minute, and when is it on?
It's on 6 o'clock on Fridays, 6 p.m. I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor, and that's when I went for my master's. But while I was out here, I got a job as a taxi driver, and I didn't know in Vegas that you need to have a background as a drug and alcohol counselor just to be a taxi driver, because a lot of people will ask you about,
Wow.
do you got drugs? And so I had this one gentleman I can recall. It was a funny story. And he said, hey, you got any Coke? And I said, you don't want to ask that. You don't want to ask that. He goes, why? I said, because I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor.
Oh, no.
And you know, I've done a lot of counseling with people with addictions, and no one is really ever going to stay clean and sober until they have the Lord in their lives.
Can I back up and just,
Yeah.
what are the ages? I mean, like kids, adults, so do you have a certain
Well, I cut my teeth in Hell's Kitchen, Manhattan, as a drug and alcohol counselor at Salvation Army.
Oh,
While I
wow.
was getting my master's. And
Good for
so when I was a taxi driver, I would say, can I ask you a question? And they go, well, what? I said, well, you know, the definition of mental health is the ability to soothe oneself. And they go, okay. So if you always need something outside yourself instead of it being inside yourself, what are you telling yourself you're not listening to, or what are you seeing that you're not allowing yourself to see?
Very interesting.
And you know what they would say to me?
What?
I'm looking for God? And I go, what a concept. And then they would go,
I love it.
Here's the money for the trip, and here's $10 for the counseling, or $20 for the counseling. And I would share it all the time. So, you know, the Lord is the most important thing in my life. And we have this program called Heart of the Father. And of course, I'm your assistant with David Heavener TV, because he's going to be launching the Last Evangelists very soon. And that's going to be a real exciting series. I'm not going to take away your thunder.
In weeks to come, you will hear about it.
That's for sure. And so we, at the radio program, we talk about the issues of the importance of the image of a father to a son or a daughter. And if they don't get that seal of approval, how they go throughout life looking for that seal in various places. As a matter of fact, there's a new article that just came out, that a book about serial killers, that a lot of these serial killers had very lousy relationships with their fathers.
So you're saying that, like, a lot of it's based is father and son issues?
Well, the book of Malachi tells us that if God doesn't turn the hearts of the fathers to the sons, and the sons to the fathers, that he might smite the earth with a curse. And if you look at our society, and you look about the criminal justice system, there's so many people in jail that don't have a good relationship with their dad, didn't know who their dad was, maybe dad was a drinker, maybe there was an addiction issue, divorce, all these issues. And so men and women are going to look for that seal of approval, because as you've heard me say many times, if you're an axe murderer, mom will probably come see you in jail because she loves you unconditionally. Normal. But your dad won't visit you, because the seal of approval usually comes from the dad.
Let me just pause. Do you hear this, fathers out there and sons? Just take a minute and think what was just said. You know, turn off the TV, turn off your iPhone, and go give your dad a hug. Or, father, go hug your son, because they are so special in your life. And it's just, that touches my heart. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and you know, we get angry and upset and disappointed with people in our relationships. And one of the things I learned as a counselor, you have to learn to look for the need behind the deed. Everything we do meets a psychological need, or we wouldn't do it in the first place. Whether I understand it or not, I still do it because I get something psychologically from it. So have a real conversation with your dad. find out what it was like when he was a kid. You know, when you struggled with things, someone has to break the ice. And sometimes it's usually something very disastrous that finally takes place, that they sit down and have that conversation. And I was fortunate with my dad before he passed that we had that man-to-man conversation. And children that never have that, they go through life just kind of like blind, looking for that. And then if you're a young person, you're going to see the guy down the street who's getting all the ladies and getting the cars and got the jewelry and got the money. That's going to become my role model because I don't have a dad to say, that's not what you're supposed to be. And that's what adolescence is all about. And so, you know, the scriptures, and it's interesting because God talks so clearly about the unity between the Father and the Son, and his desire for the body of Christ is to have that unity. Because with that unity, nothing can stop you.
You know, I'm at a loss of words. He's my assistant. I'm at a loss of words here. I think we should have him back. He has fascinating stories to share with us, and would you think you'd like to come back on the show? Not ordering him.
Sure, I'd be honored.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And you've just been a blessing. I learned something today. Thank you, and God bless.